The night sky above Earth's western desert was clear and quiet. Daniel sat alone in his small cabin, staring at the stars through the dusty window. He had been a mechanic once, a soldier later, and now just a lonely man trying to forget the war. Then a soft chime broke the silence. His comm screen flickered with a strange light. The signal was not from Earth. Daniel frowned, tapping the old console. The sender's name appeared, and his heart stopped. Captain Raquel, the alien who had once saved his life during the galactic wars. Daniel had not heard that name in 10 long years. Raquel was believed to be dead, lost in the nebula of shadows. The message began with a low, steady voice. If you are reading this, Daniel, then my time has ended. My will is written and sealed under Galactic Code 9. Everything I owned, my ships, my land, my holdings, are now yours, including her. The last words echoed in Daniel's head. Including her? He whispered. The screen shimmered again. For one brief second, an image appeared. A woman, alien and breathtaking. Her skin was silver blue like moonlight on water. Her eyes bright like distant suns. Then the image vanished, leaving only static and silence. Daniel sat frozen. Was this some cruel trick? But Raquel was a man of honor. He would never lie. The next morning, the Galactic Legal Office confirmed the impossible. Raquel's death was real. And by alien inheritance law, Daniel was the sole heir to all of his possessions. An AI executor appeared on the screen, its tone flat, but formal. You must travel to planet Varus 9 to finalize the inheritance. All assets, including the living entity designated as Lady Sura, await your arrival. Living entity? Daniel repeated, confused. Yes, the AI said. As per Varasian custom, the primary bondmate of the deceased transfers by law to the heir unless otherwise stated. Daniel leaned back, feeling the weight of what he'd just heard. He was inheriting not just an alien empire, but an alien wife. The transport ship arrived the next day. Daniel packed little, just his father's ring and his old jacket. As the ship rose through the blue sky, he looked down at the fading Earth. You'd better know what you're doing, Raquel, he whispered. The journey to Varus 9 took 5 days through warp corridors. Daniel had time to think and worry. What if this was a setup? What if the inheritance was bait? He'd fought enough alien politics to know nothing in the galaxy came free. When the ship finally broke through Varus 9's clouds, the view stole his breath. The planet shimmered with silver oceans and floating islands. Great crystal towers reached toward twin suns, yet something about it felt cold. At the landing port, armored guards waited, tall alien soldiers with polished lances and silent faces. Without a word, they escorted him through marble halls carved from glowing stone. Then the great doors opened, revealing a palace of glass and starlight. At the top of a grand staircase stood a woman. No, not just a woman, but the one he had seen in the message. Her silver blue skin gleamed softly under the alien light. Her gown rippled like liquid metal. Are you Daniel? She asked, her voice calm but sharp as ice. Yes, Daniel said slowly. She stepped closer, her eyes glowing faintly. Then by Varasian law, you are my husband now. Daniel blinked. Your husband? There must be some mistake. There is no mistake, she replied. You inherited everything Raquel owned, including me. But if you wish to survive, human, remember one thing. Her eyes darkened. Never touch what is mine. The hall went silent. Even the guards seemed to hold their breath. Daniel felt a chill run through his spine. This was no ordinary inheritance. There was fear in her tone, fear and warning. That night, as he rested in the guest quarters, Daniel couldn't sleep. He could still feel her gaze, cold and distant. Who was Lady Sura? Why had Raquel bound her to his will? And what had he meant by those last words, including her? A storm rolled across Vera 9's sky. Lightning flickered outside his window. Somewhere in the distance, Daniel heard a strange hum, like machinery buried deep underground. The sound grew louder, pulsing like a heartbeat. He walked to the window, staring into the dark horizon. There, across the glowing fields, he saw it, a faint blue light rising from the palace tower, twisting upward like a beam calling to the stars. And in that moment, Daniel knew this inheritance was no blessing. It was a door to secrets that should have stayed buried. The stars outside flashed once as if warning him, and then went still. The galaxy had changed his life before. Now it was about to change it again. Daniel woke early, the strange hum still echoing in his ears. The air inside the alien palace was cool and heavy, smelling faintly of metal and flowers. Sunlight, if it could be called that, shone pale blue through the crystal walls, casting long shadows across the marble floor. He had expected comfort, servants, maybe even luxury. Instead, the palace felt like a tomb, beautiful, empty, and silent. Every step he took echoed like he was walking through someone else's dream. A tall alien attendant entered quietly, his skin patterned like frost. "The Lady Sura requests your presence in the Hall of Voices," the alien said without looking at him. Daniel followed, passing endless corridors where alien portraits lined the walls. Each painting showed Raquel and his kind, warriors, explorers, scientists, yet one thing repeated in all of them. The same woman's eyes, glowing faintly in the background. Sura's eyes. When he reached the Hall of Voices, he saw her again, Lady Sura standing before a floating monument of glass. The hall was filled with transparent orbs, each one whispering faint words from Raquel's memory. "Good morning," Daniel said softly. She didn't turn. "You are awake early, human," he stepped closer. "You can call me Daniel." Her tone remained flat. "Names mean little here. Raquel trusted you, yet you do not belong." Daniel frowned. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for any of it." Sura turned to face him. "And yet you accepted his fortune. That means you accept his bond. His promise. His curse. Curse," he repeated. Her glowing eyes narrowed slightly. "Do not pretend ignorance. The will binds more than property. It binds hearts, souls, and power." Daniel stared at her, confused. "Raquel was my friend. He saved me once. If this is some kind of game, I want no part of it." She walked past him slowly, her silver blue gown brushing his arm like mist. "Then leave, human. But remember, no one leaves Vera's-Nime alive without my permission." Her words were sharp, yet Daniel heard something underneath, pain, maybe even loneliness. Later that day, Daniel wandered the palace again. The servants avoided his gaze. The guards watched him in silence. He noticed something odd. Many doors were sealed with glowing runes, locked with energy codes. Whenever he tried to ask questions, the staff fell quiet, afraid to speak. He found a small garden at the heart of the palace, frozen yet alive. Strange glowing flowers grew from the ice, humming softly. Daniel knelt to touch one, but a sudden cold voice stopped him. "Don't touch that," Sura said. He turned. She stood behind him again, watching. "They grow from the memories of the dead," she said quietly. "Every bloom is a soul Raquel saved during his wars." Daniel stood slowly. "You loved him, didn't you?" Her expression froze. "Love is a human word. It has no meaning here." "But you mourn him," Daniel said softly. "I can see it in your eyes." Sura turned away. "I was made to protect him. Nothing more." "Made to protect him?" Daniel's thoughts spun. Was she not born, but created? That night he couldn't sleep again. The whispering sound returned, coming from deep within the palace walls. He followed it step by step, through hidden halls until he found a sealed door covered in ancient marks. When he touched it, the lock flashed, recognizing human DNA. The door slid open. Inside was a small chamber filled with floating objects. Armor, data crystals, and a holographic recorder. Daniel reached out and activated it. Raquel's image appeared, his voice heavy and strained. "If you found this, my friend, then I am gone. I trusted no one but you. They will come for her. Protect her, Daniel. She is not what they believe. If she falls, the galaxy burns." The message ended. Silence filled the room. "Who will come for her?" Daniel whispered. "What did you do, Raquel?" Before he could replay the file, the lights flickered. The door slid open again. Sura stood there, her face pale with shock. "You should not be here," she said sharply. Daniel stepped forward. "You knew about this." About his message, her hands trembled. "It is forbidden. You must never open that room again." "Why?" "Because the truth can kill you," she whispered. Guards appeared behind her, weapons raised. Daniel lifted his hands slowly. "I'm not your enemy." "No," she said quietly. "But soon you will be." Her words echoed through the cold chamber. The guards escorted him away, their armor glowing like ice. As Daniel was taken back to his room, he glanced once more at Sura. Her expression was unreadable, but for a split second, he saw fear in her eyes. Not fear of him, but of something else. something bigger. That night, as wind howled across Vera's Nine, Daniel made a promise to himself. He would find out what Raquel meant. He would uncover the truth about Lady Sura no matter the cost. But deep in the frozen palace, far beneath the halls, something ancient had awakened. Something that had waited for the human to arrive. The palace of Vera's Nine had grown quieter since Daniel's discovery in the hidden chamber. The guards no longer greeted him, and the servants looked away when he passed. Something had changed. Something deep within the walls. Every night, Daniel dreamed of Raquel's words. Protect her, Daniel. She is not what they believe. If she falls, the galaxy burns. He woke up in cold sweat, wondering what those words truly meant. During the day, Daniel wandered the crystal corridors alone. The alien staff whispered in their strange tongue. He could hear his name, the human, the heir, the cursed one. They feared him, yet pitied him at the same time. He stopped one of the older servants, a thin alien woman with pale violet skin. Tell me the truth, Daniel said softly. Why does everyone look at me like that? The woman hesitated, her eyes darting to the corners of the hall. Because human, the last man who entered that chamber never came out again. The room you opened. It is forbidden for a reason, Daniel frowned. What reason? The woman trembled, then whispered. That is where the Queen's curse sleeps. Queen? Daniel asked, confused. The servant bowed her head and hurried away before answering. That night, Daniel's curiosity grew stronger. He wanted to confront Sura again to demand the truth, but she didn't appear for dinner or at the morning assembly. She was gone from the palace halls entirely. 3 days passed. No one spoke her name aloud. The silence around her felt heavier than the palace itself. Then one evening, as Daniel stood in the frozen garden, he heard a faint voice behind him. You shouldn't be outside alone, he turned. It was Elar, one of the younger servants who often brought him food. Her eyes darted nervously as she spoke. They watch everything. Even the air has ears in this place, Daniel frowned. Who are they? The High Council, she whispered. They never forgave your friend Raquel for what he did. He broke their sacred law when he created her. Daniel's heart raced. Created her? You mean Lady Sura? Elar nodded. She was not born like us. She was made, an artificial soul forged from light and memory. The council feared her. They said she carried a spark of forbidden power, something from the old wars. That's why Raquel hid her. That's why he chose you. Daniel took a step closer. Chose me for what? To keep her alive, Elar said, her voice trembling. Because if they destroy her, everything connected to her dies too. Including Vera's Nine. Before Daniel could ask more, a loud metallic chime echoed through the palace. Elar froze. They know I spoke to you, she whispered. I must go. She vanished into the shadows before he could stop her. That night, Daniel searched for Sura again. He followed faint light trails through the lower levels of the palace. The corridors became narrower and darker, filled with hums of ancient machines. Finally, he reached a huge metal door carved with alien runes. When he touched the surface, it recognized his DNA again and opened. Inside was a massive hall, silent, glowing faintly blue. In the center stood Sura, her body surrounded by a halo of light. Streams of data moved around her like ribbons of energy. Her eyes were closed, her hands raised. He took a cautious step forward. Sura, she opened her eyes. They shone brighter than ever. You shouldn't be here, Daniel. You've been hiding for days. What are you doing here? I'm trying to hold the planet together, she said quietly. Every night Vera's Nine weakens. Without me, the crystal core will collapse. Daniel's chest tightened. Raquel said you weren't what they believed. What did he mean? She turned away. He meant that I was built from something that should not exist, a soul that never belonged in this universe. Raquel gave me a heart, but it was not mine to have. Daniel stepped closer. And now they want to destroy you for it? Yes, she said softly. Because if I live, their power dies. He could see pain in her face, a pain that wasn't just fear. It was guilt. Then why did Raquel choose me? Daniel asked. Sura looked at him with sadness. Because your species is different. Humans carry chaos in their hearts and freedom. You are meant to give me what I lack. What do you lack? He asked. A soul, she whispered. The room fell silent. Daniel couldn't find words. Before he could speak again, alarms blared through the palace. Red lights flashed across the walls. Sura turned sharply, eyes glowing brighter. "They've found me. The council's enforcers are coming. Then we run," Daniel said. She shook her head. "You don't understand. If they reach the core, they will take me apart, and this world will die." The walls trembled as explosions echoed from above. Dust fell from the ceiling. Daniel grabbed her hand without thinking. Her skin was cold as glass but alive. Sparks of light flickered where they touched. She looked at him, startled. "No one has ever touched me before," she whispered. "Then it's time someone did," he said firmly. "We'll face them together." For the first time, Sura's lips curved into a faint smile, a fragile human smile. The ground shook again, and the blue lights dimmed. Somewhere above, ships screamed through the sky. The storm had begun. Daniel didn't know it yet, but from that moment on, his life and hers were no longer separate. Their fates had fused, by touch, by choice, and by something neither of them fully understood. The palace trembled under the weight of explosions. Alarms wailed like dying beasts, and red light poured through every corridor. Daniel held Sura's hand as the air filled with smoke and sparks. The sky above Vera's 9 burned. Guards ran past them, shouting in alien tongues. "They are here! The council's fleet has landed," one yelled. Sura's calm face cracked with fear. "They will destroy everything," she said softly. "They came for me." Daniel looked up at the shaking ceiling. "Then we get you out now." "No," she said firmly. "They will follow wherever I go. There is only one place they can't reach, the core." "The core?" She nodded. "The heart of Vera's 9. That is where Raquel hid my truth." They raced down hidden passages that twisted deep below the palace. The deeper they went, the colder it became. The walls pulsed with faint blue veins of light, like the inside of a living creature. Finally, they reached a chamber of shining stone. In the center floated a huge sphere of crystal energy, glowing with Raquel's symbol. Daniel stared in awe. "What is this?" Sura stepped forward. "This is my origin," she whispered, "and his greatest sin." She pressed her hand to the sphere, and it responded. Images flickered in the air. Daniel saw a laboratory filled with alien machines and Raquel standing before a glowing pod. Inside the pod floated Sura, asleep. Raquel's voice filled the room. "The war took everything from us. The council used living minds to power their ships, their weapons. I could not let them win. So I made her, a mind born from light, a soul built from human code I found in the wreck of Earth's ships. She is part of them, and part of you." Daniel's heart pounded. "Human code?" he whispered. Sura looked away. "Now you understand why they fear me. I'm half of 2 worlds. They call it forbidden. They call it corruption." The vision shifted. Raquel appeared older, tired, speaking to the recorder again. "If I fall, Daniel will come. He will finish what I could not. She will trust him, for she carries a piece of his kind within her. Only a human can free her heart." The message ended. Silence filled the chamber. Daniel took a step closer to her. "He made you to feel, to think, to live." Sura shook her head slowly. "No, he made me to fight. I was his weapon, not his love." Daniel could see pain in her eyes, something deeper than sadness. "You loved him anyway, didn't you?" She didn't answer. The crystal light shimmered around her face. "He treated me like a person. Until the end, I believed him. But in his will, he passed me to another man as property. That was my final chain." Daniel swallowed hard. "I'm not here to own you, Sura." She met his eyes for a long moment. "Then why are you still here?" "Because he asked me to protect you," Daniel said softly. "And because I think you deserve a choice." Before she could reply, the floor shook violently. A deep roar echoed through the tunnels. The core pulsed brighter, reacting to something above. Sura's eyes widened. "They have found the palace generator. If they breach it, Vera's 9 will collapse." "Then tell me what to do," Daniel said. She stepped to the control panel and began entering commands. "The defense grid can stop them, but it requires a soul signature, Raquel's. Only his essence could activate it." Daniel looked at the holographic script. "He's dead, Sura. There must be another way." Her voice dropped. "There is. But it is not one you will like." She turned toward him, eyes glowing brighter than before. "You carry his genetic imprint now. His code was written into your inheritance. That means the system will read you as him. Daniel froze. You mean I can activate it? Yes, she whispered. But when you do, the core will drain your life to power the barrier. You will die. Daniel stared at her in disbelief. So that's what he meant by protect her. He didn't want me to guard you, he wanted me to die for you. Sura's voice trembled. He believed your kind would do what he could not. Sacrifice without fear. Daniel took a slow breath. He was right about one thing. Humans do stupid things when they care. Before she could stop him, he placed his hand on the crystal sphere. It pulsed violently, reading his human DNA. Energy rushed through him, searing pain into every nerve. Stop, she cried, grabbing his arm. You'll kill yourself. Daniel gritted his teeth. If this saves you, it's worth it. The entire chamber exploded in light. The energy spread outward like a wave, reaching the surface. Above the palace, the council's ships were struck by blinding beams. One by one, they fell from the sky, burning as they crashed into the frozen seas. When the light faded, Daniel collapsed. Sura caught him in her arms, trembling. His heartbeat was faint. She looked down at him, tears glowing on her cheeks. You fool, she whispered. You gave me freedom and took away my reason to live. He smiled weakly. Guess we're even now. His eyes closed and silence filled the chamber again. Sura held him close as the core dimmed to a soft blue glow. Outside, the world was safe for now, but deep inside the light a small spark of human energy remained. And the crystal whispered faintly, It's not the end. Smoke rose from the horizon of Veras 9. The once bright twin suns dimmed behind black clouds. What had been a shining planet of crystal now looked wounded, burning under its own sky. Inside the palace, alarms still echoed. The ground trembled again and again as council warships circled above. Their heavy cannons fired plasma bursts that turned the frozen gardens into fire. Sura stood before the shattered windows, her silver-blue skin faintly glowing under the red light. She looked down at the smoking city below, eyes cold with both anger and grief. Behind her, Daniel lay still on the floor beside the core chamber, unconscious but alive. His pulse was weak. The crystal that had drained his life energy now pulsed softly beside him, as if protecting what little remained of his human strength. Sura knelt beside him, brushing his cheek gently. Her fingers trembled. You foolish man, she whispered. You saved me when I didn't even believe I deserved saving. The palace walls shook as another explosion hit nearby. Sura rose to her feet. Her long gown of light shifted into battle armor, plates of glowing silver forming around her arms, shoulders, and chest. The markings across her body flared with bright energy. She looked at the ceiling. Enough, she whispered. Her voice carried power. A pulse spread through the palace, activating ancient defenses Raquel had buried long ago. Giant mechanical sentinels rose from the ground. Energy shields flickered to life, forming domes over the capital. Outside, the invaders saw the defenses rise and panicked. The lead warlord, an alien with bone-like armor, shouted over his communicator, The weapon is awake. Destroy her now. Thousands of ships fired at once. The air screamed with light and fire. Sura raised her hand toward the sky. The beams curved before reaching her, bending like rivers of light, and turned back against the attackers. In seconds, hundreds of ships exploded in silent flashes. Her voice echoed across the winds. You hunted me. You called me a weapon. Now you will see what you created. But every time she used her power, her energy dimmed. Her body trembled slightly as the palace shook again. Then came a deeper sound, a vibration that shook her bones. Something far larger was approaching. Through the clouds, the flagship of the council emerged, a monstrous ship that blotted out the sun. Sura's eyes widened. They brought the erasure engine. It was a weapon that erased entire planets, atom by atom. Raquel had once called it the end of stars. Sura turned to Daniel. He was still breathing, barely. His face looked peaceful, unaware of the destruction outside. She touched his hand, her voice trembling. You gave me your life. I won't waste it. She closed her eyes and reached deep into the planet's core. The energy of Veras 9 responded, glowing brighter. The crystal towers across the land began to hum. The entire world came alive as if it had a heartbeat. Then, deep inside her chest, something new awakened. The human spark Raquel had given her. It glowed warmer, softer than any alien light she had ever known. She understood now. She wasn't built just to fight. She was built to feel. And it was Daniel's soul that had taught her that truth. Above, the council ship fired its erasure beam, a massive ray of white energy that tore through the atmosphere. Sura opened her arms wide. "You will not take this world." The beam hit her directly. The light consumed everything. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the energy reversed. A giant wave of light burst outward from the palace, swallowing the erasure beam and turning it into raw life energy. The wave swept across the planet, healing the land, melting the fire, repairing the sky. The council's fleet vanished in the blinding storm. Their massive ships disintegrated, leaving trails of light like falling stars. When the storm faded, Varus 9 stood reborn, its cities glowing again, its skies clear and blue. Sura collapsed to her knees, breathing heavily. The armor faded from her body. Her energy flickered weakly now, almost gone. She crawled back to Daniel's side. His chest rose slowly, the glow from the core now faint but steady. She smiled through tears. "You did it, human," she whispered. "Your chaos saved the stars." The floor cracked beneath them, the core pulsing one last time. A projection appeared above. Raquel's final message. "If you are hearing this, it means she survived. Daniel, I trusted your kind for a reason. Humanity burns bright even when the universe grows dark." Sura looked up at the fading hologram. "He's still alive," she whispered. "Inside the core. His echo watches over us." The hologram flickered, then vanished. Silence fell. Only the faint sound of wind passed through the open hall. Sura closed her eyes, resting her head beside Daniel's shoulder. The planet was safe, but the cost was written in every breath she took. She whispered to him softly, "Sleep for now, my human. The war's not over yet." Outside, the rebuilt sky shimmered with twin suns. The galaxy was quiet, but it would not stay that way for long. Far beyond the horizon, deep in the dark void, unseen eyes watched Varus 9 from the shadow of space. And one cold voice said, "The weapon survived. Prepare the next phase." Days passed after the great battle. Varus 9 was quiet again, too quiet. The twin suns returned to their normal glow, washing the rebuilt palace in silver light. The people whispered the same words again and again. The weapon saved us, the human saved her. Daniel lay motionless inside the healing chamber, surrounded by faint blue mist. The crystal core beside him pulsed softly, keeping his heart alive even though his body had nearly burned away from the energy he had given. Sura watched over him every day. She no longer wore her armor or the crown of light. Her hair fell loose, her eyes dim but gentle. Every hour she touched his hand and waited for any sign. Nothing came. Sometimes she whispered, "You humans are strange. You destroy yourselves to save someone you barely know." Then she smiled sadly, "But maybe that is what makes you beautiful." On the 7th night, thunder rolled across the sky. Lightning struck the highest tower. The palace lights flickered and the core flared bright white. Daniel gasped, a small, sharp sound, and one and opened his eyes. He blinked, confused, breathing hard. Where am I?" Sura turned quickly, her face lighting up. "You are alive." Daniel looked around, weak but awake. "I thought I was gone." "You were," she said softly, "but you didn't stay that way." He sat up slowly, touching his chest. A faint blue mark glowed beneath his skin, shaped like the Varasian symbol for unity. What did you do to me?" Sura lowered her head. "When you touched the core, part of your soul fused with mine. I could not let you fade, so I gave it back. Half of me for half of you." Daniel stared at her. "So, we're connected?" "Yes," she whispered. "Our lives are one now. If you die, I die. If I vanish, you vanish." He let out a shaky breath. "That's a terrible deal." For the first time she laughed, and a soft human-sounding laugh. "Perhaps, but it's the only way to keep both of us alive." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the hum of the repaired palace. Outside, the people of Varus 9 were rebuilding the city, guided by the glow from the restored towers. The planet was healing. Daniel finally said, "What happens now? The council's fleet is gone, but you and I both know they'll come again." Sura nodded. "They will send something worse. They fear what we are, a bridge between two species. They think if humans and Varasians unite, their rule ends." "Then we don't give them what they want," Daniel said. "We give them something they can't control." She looked at him curiously. "And what is that?" Hope, he said simply. She tilted her head. Hope is fragile. So are humans, he said with a faint smile. But we're hard to kill. For the first time since Raquel's death, Sura felt something she hadn't known before. Peace. Not because the danger was gone, but because she wasn't alone anymore. Later that night, the two of them walked to the palace balcony. The stars above shimmered in rivers of light. From this height, they could see all of Vera's Nime glowing softly, alive again. Daniel rested his hands on the railing. You know, when Raquel saved me years ago, I thought it was luck. Now I see he was planning something all along. Sura's eyes softened. He believed humans could change fate. Perhaps he was right. He looked at her. You miss him? Every day, she said quietly. He was my maker. And my friend. But you are something else. What am I then? You are the choice he never had the courage to make. Daniel blinked, unsure how to answer. Before he could speak, the sky above them rippled. A dark shape appeared among the stars and became massive, silent, and cloaked in shadow. Sura's face turned pale. No, it's too soon. Daniel stepped forward. What is it? The Reclaimers, she said. They are not from the Council. They are older. They come when something breaks the balance between creation and destruction. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through the palace stones. Lights in the sky grew brighter as if thousands of ships were arriving at once. Daniel clenched his fists. They want you. Sura shook her head. They want us. She looked at him deeply. You must choose, Daniel. If we fight, this planet will die, but if we surrender, they will take both of us and erase what we are. He met her gaze. You already know my choice, she frowned slightly. Tell me, he smiled faintly. Humans don't surrender. The ground rumbled as light began to fall from the sky. Sura raised her hand and a shield of blue energy formed around the palace. Then we fight together, she said softly. Daniel nodded. Always. The shield shimmered like a second sunrise as the first enemy beam struck it. Sparks exploded across the sky. Inside the palace, the blue crystal core pulsed faster, syncing with the rhythm of two hearts. One human, one alien, beating as one. Far beyond Vera's Nine, ancient voices whispered in the dark. The bridge has awakened. The war of light begins, the stars flared. The next chapter of their fate had already begun. The sky above Vera's Nine split open like a wound. The black ships of the Reclaimers poured out from the rift, silent as shadows, glowing with white marks that no species in the galaxy could read. They were not from any world Daniel knew. They were older, stranger, and colder than war itself. Inside the palace, Daniel stood beside Sura on the balcony. The energy shield trembled above them, bright but weakening. The air burned with static. They're surrounding the planet, Daniel said, watching the endless dark fleet. How many are there? Sura's glowing eyes dimmed slightly, enough to erase a star. They do not fight for power. They fight for balance. To them we are a mistake, he clenched his fists. Then we'll be the mistake they remember forever. She looked at him for a long moment, then smiled faintly. You really are human. The first blast struck. The palace shuddered. Crystals cracked. The ground split beneath their feet. Daniel grabbed Sura's arm as pieces of the ceiling fell around them. We can't hold them off forever, he shouted. Sura's voice remained calm. No. But maybe we don't have to. She led him back to the core chamber, the heart of Vera's Nine. The huge sphere glowed brighter now, reacting to the danger outside. Runes burned across its surface, ancient and alive. This world was built to protect light, she said. Raquel knew the day would come when darkness would try to take it back. Daniel stared at the core. What are you saying? She turned toward him, her voice trembling for the first time. The planet's energy is bound to me. And now because of our bond, it's bound to you too. Together we can release it. What happens when we do? Her silence said everything. Daniel shook his head. No, there has to be another way. There isn't, she whispered. If we release the light, it will destroy the Reclaimers, but it will also end us. He stepped closer, eyes fierce. I didn't come this far just to die again, Sura. Not after everything we've done. Her expression softened. This isn't death, Daniel. It's becoming what Raquel hoped for. A bridge between species, between creation and chaos. The palace trembled again. Another explosion tore through the upper towers. The ground quaked beneath them. The Reclaimers were landing. Sura reached for his hand. Do you trust me? Daniel stared into her glowing eyes, then nodded. Always. They stepped together toward the core. Their joined hands began to glow, human warmth mixing with alien light. The sphere recognized them, the bridge of two souls. The core spoke in a voice that was not human or alien, but both. Unity detected. Final sequence ready. Outside, the reclaimer ships unleashed their beams. The planet began to shake apart. Mountains split. Oceans rose in storms of white mist. Sura looked at him one last time. When this ends, there will be peace. Maybe not for us, but for everyone else. Daniel smiled faintly. Then let's give them something worth remembering. They pressed their hands to the core. A massive surge of light burst outward, flooding every hall, every street, every cloud. The entire world shone like a newborn star. The reclaimer ships fired again, but their beams vanished into the light. One by one, the dark ships dissolved, melting into trails of silver dust. The rift in the sky closed, sealing the void. From far away across galaxies, other worlds looked toward Varus 9 and saw a single blinding flash. Then silence. When the light faded, the palace was gone. The warships were gone. Only the endless blue sky remained. In the center of a vast crater stood a crystal monument. Inside the clear stone, two figures rested, human and alien hands joined, faces peaceful. Years later, explorers from the free worlds landed on Varus 9. They found no signs of war, only growing forests and rivers of light. The planet had become pure energy, a living beacon in the dark. They called it the Bridge World. Every generation, ships came to see the monument. Pilgrims whispered that when the wind blew across the crystal plains, they could hear two voices, one human, one alien, speaking softly together. We are still here. We are one. And in distant parts of the galaxy, when darkness rose again, strange lights would appear among the stars, flares of blue and gold energy, fighting back the shadow. Some said it was Varus 9 defending the universe. Others said it was Daniel and Sura, still guarding the light they gave their lives to protect. But among humans, the story was told simply: a man inherited his friend's fortune, and instead of power, he found love. He met an alien built from war and taught her the meaning of life. Together they became more than human, more than machine. They became a legend. And far beyond all worlds, in the endless sea of stars, a voice still whispered through time. Humanity burns brightest when it shares its light. The stars shimmered softly, as if answering back. The end.